Good evening. Welcome to season 2, episode 2. But in reality, we have reached 7 episodes, which is a number of perfection, of a conversation with a single mother. Hence today we have taken a different turn. Nasi Ginasi, I decided to take over the hot seat to give you an opportunity to know the brains behind the founder of A Conversation with a Single Mother and the co-founder of Comfort a Single Mom. I'm your host today, Zama G. Like I have said, today I've taken over the hot seat because today we have to know who is this person behind these conversations of single mom and Comfort a Single Mother. So please share this page, tag single mothers, even single fathers, even if you are in a marriage or whatsoever, but this information will be very much valuable for you so that you should know how to assist also single mothers or to even refer them to the organization or the foundation Comfort a Single Mother. So today I decided to chase the host so that we know who the host is. You know, it's like when you say to a person when they knock, you say, come, welcome, you welcome. I feel at home. So I felt at home and decided that no, today I'm turning the tables. You know, I'm taking over. Good evening, madam.
Hi Zamaji, how are you?
I am fine, and how are you?
Nice. I see you're in the hot seat.
Exactly. Hey, it's hot. I'm even
It's
sweating.
very hot. I'm telling you, it is very hot.
Yeah, but then we're giving our audience an opportunity
definitely.
to know
Definitely.
who is this woman
Definitely.
and why is she passionate about single mothers.
Definitely.
Yes, but my dear, who is Thabiseng Make?
Ntabiseng Make is a child of God. I love God with all of my heart. I believe that Jesus is Lord. I'm passionate about life. I love people. I'm an introvert. I'm very conservative about my space. I don't have a lot of friends, but I do have people that I socialize with or people that I hang around with. But in most cases, I'm me. You know, I'm me. And what do I like? I love traveling. I love reading. I love what else do I like? I love watching these forensic investigation episodes that you get on your Discovery Tontons. I love watching those because I love fraud. Investigation. I'm very inquisitive about how criminals think. That is me. I'm very inquisitive. That is the other thing about me. I'm a risk taker, you know. I'm a risk taker. I'm not afraid to take risks. And sometimes I'll take the risk and it will blow up in my face, but sometimes I'll take the risk and it will just be, the outcome will be very glorious. So I could say, to sum up me, I'm an introvert, but yet I'm very extreme in terms of how I approach life.
It's very tricky, or should I say funny, to say that you are an introvert, but we will discuss that later because of the profession that you are in, since it makes you meet every type of persons, but we will save that for later. Okay. And how was Ntabiseng brought up? What is your upbringing? How was it like?
Well, to start from the beginning, I grew up in a small village in Bochum called 8 Cake Number 1. I was raised there, I think, until I was 7 years old. And then I think when I was 7, my mother came to fetch me because then I was living with my grandmother. May her soul rest in peace, by the way. So I moved to Bulubedu. That's when I started calling Nasi Ginasi. Because in 8 Cake, but Bulubedu Riaba. So Bulubedu, my father is from Bulubedu. I grew up in Bulubedu. After the 7 years, I grew up in Bulubedu. And I grew up in a very, your usual family. The mother is there, the father is there. Both my parents are in the health profession. And my mother pursued her career a lot, so she was mostly not at home. But it wasn't really a transmission because she would come home. But overall, I grew up in a very loving family. I believe that my parents raised me the best possible way that they knew how to. And that is one of the things that this generation needs to know, because most people, this generation is very upset about how they've been raised. And sometimes we don't give credit where it's due, because our parents only raise us to the extent that they know how to. Even ourselves, we raise our kids only to the extent that we know how to. So I grew up, seeing two very inquisitive parents as well, because my parents really pursued their goals. I mean, my mother was studying most of the time to, advance in a profession as a nurse. My father too, and that really ignited passion in me, because I believe so much that what they were doing was actually an impartation on me to be the kind of person that I am. My father is the first entrepreneur that I've ever been exposed to. He's the first entrepreneur that I've ever been exposed to. When we were growing up, he was selling pillows, and at the time we didn't have a lot of entrepreneurs, but he was selling pillows. So business has always been something that I was exposed to as a child, and I will forever be grateful for that. And the other milestone I would like to also mention about how I was brought up. As I've already said, my parents were very inquisitive, and they really wanted the best for us. So my dad, he really believed in me. I remember he used to call me boss. And I believe that instilled some leadership quality in me as a child, and also now as an adult. He'd call me boss, and the man was not even afraid or anxious to leave the country and go and pursue a career elsewhere, because he couldn't afford my tuition at the time. So he decided, no, because I can't afford your tuition, I'm going to get out of the country and go and work so that you can go and study without a loan. So that is the best foundation I could have ever been given, and that gives me a comfort that I was raised well. I was raised well. I was raised by both my parents, and in a very loving, though with its own challenges, which every family has, but there are milestones that I can pick up, and I'm always grateful for that.
I'm just now trying to link the comfort of a single mom. You said daddy was selling pillows. Do you know that a pillow is something that comforts you? I don't know whether I'm the only one. When I sleep on my stomach and I will hug my pillow. The comfort.
In fact, most pregnant women, when I was pregnant, most of the time when I'm pregnant, I think all my pregnancies, I always used to put a pillow just underneath my belly to, to make sure that I'm comfortable and also the baby is comfortable. So you are right. Pillows come with comfort.
So Daddy knew, he had a hindsight that, what, as I'm selling this comfort to people, my child would be associated with comforting something. So tell me, when you were growing up, like when you are now at high school as a girl, the peer pressure, how did you handle that? Because I assume that we all go through some kind of peer pressure somehow.
That is a very, very good question, because everybody goes through peer pressure, as you are saying. And with me, when I was in high school, I always think God always has a plan for our lives.
Yes.
And even though we might want to divert from that plan, but if God really wants to use you, He'll put people in your path that will always divert you back to the path that He has destined for you. So with me, I was always surrounded by those serious type of friends. Not that I was not serious myself, but I think the company that I kept really kept me on my path. But the other thing is, along the way, yes, you'll also have friends that are not necessarily that serious about life. And, sometimes I would find myself in trouble. Definitely, I would find myself in trouble. But like I said, I'm an introvert. I was not those girls, And I like that question because most people think when you're a single parent, or when you are a single parent, maybe from different baby fathers or baby daddies, it means you are just a promiscuous someone. And that is not the case. You are loose. And that is not the case, because some women or some mothers were not necessarily promiscuous. It's just life happening. And sometimes these things are psychological, sometimes they're spiritual. But overall, peer pressure for me was not really that much of a problem, because most of the friends that I kept were people who were serious. You know, they were serious about it. Most of my friends are, well, they're CAs. You know, they're more or less in the same profession that I'm in. So I don't think I had that many challenges in terms of having to deal with peer pressure. But when it comes to boyfriends and all that, you know, every girl at some point, you want to have a boyfriend. Well, I did have my boyfriends when I was young, and yeah, it happened. And yeah, with my, I don't know how, I think he was my second. Then I had the first child. But what my emphasis is on the friends that I kept were good friends.
How old were you when you had your first child?
I was doing my honors. I remember when I felt
you're already
pregnant.
qualified.
I was already qualified. I was in varsity. And I think I was 21. Yeah.
Okay, because now there is this pressure, because I assume when growing up, you were also not under the pressure of social media.
Yes.
Where you had to be your slay queens and whatsoever. How was it in your time? Because now our children are faced with this thing. They had to, you know, people are now saying that, you know, we are a very sad generation with happy pictures. You know, I assume you were not under the pressure that you had to portray a different lifestyle, because I don't think social media was that big when you went to university or when you were at high school. So how did you handle even some of the pressures that were now coming there, to say that you are coming from a family of two professionals, and society actually expected a certain behavior from you? Wasn't that putting much more pressure? As you have indicated, Mommy was studying, Daddy even left the country. Didn't you find that it was even putting much pressure on how you need to behave, how you had to present yourself?
I think, to be honest with you, like I said, every family has got its challenges. You know, sometimes when you pursue a career, of course, something else will suffer. Like, for example, I said my mom was at school most of the time. I mean, I would be with nannies, you know, helpers in the house. And some of those nannies, you know, how helpers are, especially when you've given them space and they can have the whole house to themselves. Some of them will bring men to the house and all that. But there wasn't that really much pressure. But as I've already indicated, every family has got its challenges. And those challenges have got a way that they have an impact on you and how you are going to face life. You know, when we see a single mother, or when we see a single father, or when we see a person having kids from multiple women, it's not something that just happened in an instant. It's a series of events. It takes events for a person to start behaving in a certain way. So, like I said, and some of those prior events could be spiritual, could be psychological, whatever the case might be. So with me, I could say that the absence of my parents pursuing their career, I think that could have had an impact on me, because I was living with not necessarily strangers, but, you know, sometimes I would have to be with people that I don't know, who are just there to work. And sometimes they will expose me to things that I wasn't necessarily supposed to be exposed to. So that didn't really have, I can't say it put pressure, because I've never really assessed how my past had an impact on me as an adult. But I think that also could have had an impact on how I dealt with life going forward.
Yeah, I heard that you said also when you got pregnant with your first child, you were doing honors.
Yes.
What was Ntabiseng studying? And what is her profession?
Ntabiseng is I'm an auditor. I'm an auditor by profession. I'm a business developer also, but my career or my profession, I was studying internal auditing. I was studying internal auditing, and
Was your choice of career influenced by your father's entrepreneurial skills?
Not even. You know, when I went to apply, when I submitted my applications with these universities, I wanted to become a chartered accountant. I started here at the UL, and I submitted my application, and they told me, "You've been accepted. Come tomorrow." They didn't waste time.
Wow.
They had accepted me for become accounting. But I didn't want to study locally. You know, when we were growing up, Joburg was
I
the
know
place.
that pressure.
We all wanted to be in Joburg. We didn't want to grow up here and also study here. So for me, and I was coming from a multiracial school. So for me, you know, studying in Limpopo was actually going to Limpopo. It was going to be an embarrassment. So I was like, "Oh no, Daddy, I'm not gonna study here. Take me to UP." So I went to the University of Pretoria. Unfortunately, they didn't accept me for become accounting. They accepted me for become financial management. I started as a become financial manager. So I started become financial management, and then in the following year, I decided, but no, I love audit. I didn't know what audit was, but I just love the word auditing. So I went for auditing, and I studied internal auditing, and I passed. So in my honors, I loved forensics. Forensic audit. That was my I think that was the highlight of my studies. I loved forensic, but though even after graduating from my honors, I didn't really pursue that. I thought audit was forensic. I thought you were just going there to tick and check who's not behaving and all that. But internal auditing is not that. So, but eventually I discovered that no, I love chasing bad guys. I love chasing corrupt people. Maybe I can think like a thief. That's why I like chasing, you know, these corrupt people and all that. I discovered that forensic investigation is my passion, and this is something that I'm currently pursuing. And not only forensic investigation in the corporate environment, but also in, you know, just studying forensics, how a criminal thinks, you know, because I ultimately want to assist those who are faced with those kind of minds, because I believe there's a certain mindset that inspires a person to do certain things. Yeah. Last year, during lockdown level 3, I was doing my research on YouTube, because I was going through some things as a single mother, and I just wanted some motivation. And I wanted that motivation from a single mom. So when I did my research on YouTube, I couldn't find anything. What I found was a video of 3 women who were being interviewed because they were preparing to host a conference for single mothers. So after seeing that there isn't really much help on the internet to assist single mothers, I decided, you know what, let me pray about this thing and hear what God has to say. And one of the reasons why is because we all know that the majority of children that are being raised in the country are being raised by single mothers. I mean, in South Africa alone, over 60% of kids raised in South Africa are raised by single mothers. In the US, over 80% are raised by single mothers. So we have this thing, and which I personally believe that has to be taken care of, because it affects many other things. Because how children are raised affects how they are going to relate with their world, how they are going to contribute to the economy, or to the economy of any country or whatsoever. It affects a lot of things. So I felt it was necessary to come up with this concept to assist single mothers to become self-sustainable. It really touched me that we have so many single mothers who are going through a whole lot of challenges, because apart from the fact that you know, as a single parent, the fact that you're raising kids alone can also be daunting on you. There are many other things coming from how you were raised. Like I said earlier on, that sometimes, not even sometimes, always, for a person to be a single parent or a single father, or to have kids from different mothers or whatever, it's a series of events. You don't just wake up and say, I want to be that. It's a series of events that leads to that. And sometimes it's not being promiscuous. Sometimes it's just how your background affected you, and how it now affects how you deal with life. So I felt it was necessary to come up with this package to really help single mothers find themselves, help single mothers become whole, because that is the first point of departure. Because before you become a good parent, before you become a great business person, before you can contribute positively to your environment, you have to be okay yourself. There is no way you can really impart anything to anyone else when you are not fine yourself.
So how do you become whole?
Yes. how do you become whole? For me, becoming whole is very spiritual for me because life is spiritual. I think most people don't really know that life is spiritual. And the unfortunate part is that the majority or the people that understand that life is spiritual rule over those who don't know that life is spiritual. So the first point of departure is to understand that, number one, life is very much spiritual. And when God made a human being, he made a human being to be a tripartite being. Man is a spirit, he has a soul, and he lives in the physical body. The mistake that we make today, especially because we're living in the times of social media, is to take care of this body. But the body is not us.
Yes.
The body is not us. We are a spirit, we have a soul, and we live in the physical body. So becoming whole is understanding that part. That is the first. But then now, how does a whole person differ from a person who is not whole? A whole person is a person who has fellowship with his creator. When a person is not in fellowship with their creator, the spiritual component is closed or is darkened or is dead. So they are only functioning at the level of a soul. And these are some of the things that I've learned from my mentors. They function from a position of a soul. And then they are not whole. Because no matter how much you can pursue wealth, no matter how much you can pursue influence, no matter how much you can you can try to pursue a beautiful family or money, if you don't have fellowship, if you don't have a relationship with your creator, you will not become whole. And this is a becoming. In fact, it's a striving, because sometimes it's not necessarily an easy thing to do. But though it's easy at the beginning, but to keep yourself whole, you have to continuously strive in becoming whole. So most people will leave the aspect of the spiritual and pursue other things in pursuit of wholeness. But wholeness, the foundation of wholeness, is understanding your relationship with God, your relationship with Jesus Christ. And to do that, you have to be born again. There is no way you can understand a relationship with Christ without being born again. And this is the message that I want to communicate to single mothers, that no matter how much you've been hurt in the past, how much you've been rejected as a person, the things that you've gone through, because I know that some of my single mothers have been raped. Some of them, they grew up in, very, very, very poor environments, and that has affected how they are today. And it's even affecting how their children are going to be raised. You have to restore your relationship with Jesus.
Amen.
And
hence the verse that says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Yes.
So we are saying that single mothers can find ways of doing even those things that they think they can't do.
Yes.
Invest in themselves.
Yes.
Make themselves better parents and whatever. So it will cover the all things, especially when you are in Christ,
Definitely.
when your hope is in Christ.
Yes. And that's how you become whole. That is how you become whole. Knowing Christ and knowing the tools that Christ has given you, which make you have the ability to do all things which are profitable to you, because you don't necessarily have to do everything. There are certain things that are profitable to you. For example, raising your kids, being self-sustainable. Those are profitable to you. So in order for you to achieve that, you need to have a relationship with God. And how do you have a relationship with God? Because most people will say, but I have a relationship with God. I said restoration with your maker. Like wisdom says, the Lord is my shepherd. The Lord is my friend. He is my associate. He is my partner. I shall not want. I am
nothing.
content. Yes, I lack nothing because the Lord is my best friend, isn't it?
Amen.
Consultation, fellowship, consistent fellowship with God, which only comes through the word of God. You cannot have fellowship with somebody who you don't know. And the only way to get to know God is to have a relationship with his word. So your number one priority should be what? Let me have a relationship with God. And when you have a relationship with God, he will unveil all other things. And then that's when now purpose comes in.
Yes.
Because then you'll discover, why are you here? What do you have to do for your kids? Because remember, purpose is very, very important in everything that you do. You raise your kids intentionally. You do business intentionally. Your life is just purpose-driven. Your life is led by the friend or the partner who is your God.
Okay, let's go back to unpacking the comfort a single mom.
Yes.
For our audience who are joining us for the first time.
Yes.
What does it entail?
Okay.
How will I benefit? Why should I take interest in comfort a single mom?
The crux of the vision is to help single mothers become self-sustainable. Because like I said, most of them come with background issues and all that. It's to help them become self-sustainable so that they raise their children intentionally. So what we offer is an entrepreneurial, number one, is a purposepreneurship package, which we've partnered with one of our guests, which was here in the previous shows. You can check out the video. We break down purposepreneurship. And in that purposepreneurship, we help you discover you, because that is very important, which is where the concept of becoming whole comes from. Yes. Then we've got an entrepreneurship package where now we teach you how to do business, because you are living in a world where there are various systems and where you need to, be profitable, and you need to generate an income so that you can, support your kids, but also be well financially, because money is important. So we have that entrepreneurship package that can help you explore the different opportunities that you can take in order for you to generate an income for yourself. Then we have my personal favorite, intentional parenting. I'm an intentional parent. I mentioned earlier on that I'm a single mom of 3. And I'm an intentional parent. I'm very purposeful in terms of how I raise my kids. I might not be perfect, but I try my level best to learn how to raise my kids well. So in this package, we have partnered with psychologists to train mothers on how to raise their kids, because sometimes you don't even understand what being a mother is, because probably maybe you didn't even grow up with a mom, or maybe you were not staying with your mother, because most single mothers even delegate their responsibility for mothering to the kids' grandparents. So we help single mothers to understand what is their role in terms of how they raise their kids, how to become intentional parents. Because my favorite line is that what you release to society must be a person, I'm talking about your child now, must be a person that will contribute positively to our society. Don't release a liability to society, release an asset, someone who will be all-rounded, not according to my idea of what all-rounded is, but somebody who can deal with life wisely and with
So
understanding.
do I have to be a teen mom to join the program? Do I have to be a single mom because I was never married by the father of my children, or because I am divorced? So in this singleness, which category does the program really assist?
We mentor all single mothers. If you're a single mom and you feel you need this type of service, we are here for you. I mean, we can't differentiate or separate who is a single mom, who needs this service more than who. But our primary focus is on all the single mothers who just want to, take advantage of the opportunity. So if you're a single mother and you feel you want to be comforted with those packages that I've spoken about, which I want to emphasize on the intentional parenting one, then you are most welcome to join us. But I personally, because I've never been married, I have first-hand experience about raising kids alone. I would be able to give you much more knowledge on how to, or much more mentorship, or even, first-hand experience on how to raise kids alone. But then we accept all single moms.
How would you encourage all single moms to parent with their purpose?
I've already mentioned to you that I believe that life is spiritual. And what that means is that the physical is influenced by the spiritual. So when you understand that, you can mold your kids, both in spiritually, and you can also mold them physically. And you have to be wise. You honestly have to be wise in terms of how you engage with them, because you cannot pour out of an empty cup.
Oh, yes.
So you starts with you.
Yes.
It starts with you. You become well. You become self-sufficient. You become whole. And when you are okay, and I've also seen it with me, You know, there are those moments where you are down because the world has dealt with you. You are at work, you didn't achieve, you didn't meet your targets, and you come home, you know, drained and tired and all that, and it blocks your engagement with your kids. So it really means that you have to take care of yourself spiritually. It's not a psychological thing as many people think, because many people think it's just psychological, and once you can think positively, it ends there. No. You have to take care of yourself, and that comes through prayer for me. It comes through prayer for me. I make sure that I'm prayerful and I'm consistently in a relationship with God through His Word. So that when I engage with my kids, I engage them from a position of wholeness. I engage them from a position of the overflow, because I want to give them what is outside, you know, what is outside, so that I don't run out of what is already in me. So that is, I give them myself, because kids are observant. Kids will take what they see, not necessarily what you tell them. I can tell my daughter, don't smoke, but if I smoke, she's gonna smoke. If I tell her, don't sleep outside, but I constantly don't sleep at home, she will definitely do that. If I expose her to different boyfriends, and I tell her later that don't, you know,
she will actually model what you are doing.
Exactly, she will model what I'm doing. So it starts with us taking care of ourselves, so that what we demonstrate or what we portray to our kids is what we want. I mean, you've got, you can raise a champion. Wisdom says the children of the righteous are mighty. They are champions. But to be a champion is not necessarily just a spoken word only.
Yes.
It's also going to take action from the parent. Just like wisdom also says, the children of the righteous shall never beg for bread. If you are a parent and you don't work, they will beg for bread. Do you understand?
True.
So then it really takes you first before the kids. Take care of yourself, mummies.
So, what nuggets of wisdom does Nthabiseng Make live by?
The first one is the one that I just told you about.
Tell us
I just told
again.
you.
Tell
I
us
just told you,
again.
right?
Our single
Right.
moms really
Yes,
need to hear
yes.
this.
The second one is really being intentional about your parenting. Being intentional. And like I said, it's going to take strive, because you are raising kids that are not you. They are not you, and they are not supposed to be you. Release an asset to society. That is the first vision you should have about your kids. Have cultures or values that you want to instill in your kids. Yeah. Write them down if you have to write them down. Have a vision board with your kids to say, guys,
yes.
this is where we must be. Believe with your kids. You know, when I want something, I tell my kids, I tell them, guys, I'm believing God for 1, 2, 3. I'm believing God for a car. I'm believing God for land. I'm believing God for this. And I engage them in that, you know, vision. So that when they see it coming, they know that mommy got it because she believed God.
Yes.
So the first principle that I want to instill in my kids is for them to fear God. Because I believe that there is no human being without God. So if you want to live outside God, you are going to really struggle in this world. So, but that is the first principle. Be intentional about how you raise your kids. Be very, very intentional. Don't expose your kids to things that they're not supposed to see. And don't be careless, because kids will always remember.
Oh, yes.
They will always catch those events that were extravagant or that were extreme to them, and they will model it later.
They actually remind
They
you.
remind you even. Yes, you are right. Then the other nugget that I really want to share with my single moms, and I know that most of them won't necessarily be comfortable with this one. When you raise a child, whether you raise a child with an estranged man, whether you raise a child with a present man, fact remains is that you and this man have got a common interest, and that interest is your child.
Yes.
I know that most single mothers, that's why there's a term called baby mama, because most single mothers are angry.
Oh, yes.
They are angry. And maybe you might not be angry, but the majority that, you know, society has portrayed or that you come across, they are not so happy with their baby daddies. So pray be very intentional about that as well.
Yes.
Pray for this. Could make sure that you have a plan of how you deal with this individual that is also connected to your child. Because the fact of the matter is that you have a common interest. And if that person is not well, it will also come and affect your child.
True.
And your child will have questions eventually, even if this man is estranged, that your child will have questions about this man. Where is my father? So you don't want your child to either find that man, broken down or whatever. So what I do is that when I pray for my kids, I pray for fathers as well. That listen,
Yes.
God, do good with those men. They must be all right. They must be well, so that they must come to the party. Even they must come to the party. They must be okay, because my interest. I'm minding my interest. My interest is my child, and I want my child to be proud of both their parents. And
Because you can't bring the bacon when you're broken.
Exactly. You can't bring the bacon when you are broken. So I have to make sure that my child's world is well taken care of, so that if that person should come back, they shouldn't come back with luggage to come and burden my child. They must come with something good to give to my child. And I've seen the fruits of it, Act in the best interest of the child. Baby mama drama, that is why aside. That's why we have these programs, so that we help you to understand who you are, so that you can be a person of integrity. And not that I'm saying that every single mother is not a woman of integrity. What I'm saying is that act in the best interest of the child. Never deny the father access.
Oh, yes.
Because you are bitter, because you are angry, because you want to pursue your own interests. Because eventually this child will come and demonstrate the very same bitterness, or the very same seed of bitterness and anger that you planted in the father. So act in the best interest of the kids.
There we are. We've come to the end of our show tonight. And as it is an August month, we know in South Africa in August it's a Women's Month. Please tag all the mothers, share this live with them. They can. It's still available even after the broadcast. Please also subscribe on our YouTube channel. Also, go and click on www.comfortasinglemom.co.za. The rest of the information will be at the bottom of the screen. Good night, and thank you once more for joining us tonight.